How you doing, Ben?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Now, it is such a pleasure to be with you guys. And I tell you what, in honor of our conversation here in Alinda in Melbourne, I'm actually in Kelly's pub, which I thought is as close to an authentic Irish pub as I can find up here.
Well, yeah, there you go. Power to you. That's the first one we've ever had. Someone doing it from a pub. Never mind an Irish pub. Do you-
Well, I've got me some red ale. Of course, it's not. It's what 11:30 in the morning where you are,
yeah.
and it's what 8:20 where I am. So you're on hard coffee, Irish coffee, and I'm on the pints.
I tell you, which I'd rather be doing. um, how's things in Australia at the moment? Is it doing well?
You know, we are so lucky with COVID. We had in Melbourne. We had a lockdown for was it 5 or 6 months,
Mm.
for 14 weeks rather, and that was really really hard. But we don't have any community transmission at the moment. We have uh, very slowly. We have vaccinations rolling out, and everything's kind of opening back up a little bit more. So we're super lucky. We did the hard yards, but we're super
Yeah,
lucky now that COVID's uh, something that we're aware of, but it's not rampant through the community. So we're super lucky.
yeah. Well, thank God. Like, because we got a couple of people over there from different shows we've done, and yeah, that place was hit hard. Melbourne. I was fucking killed. um, so see, you're a voice actor. Do you do normal acting as well?
Yep. I don't do as much normal acting
It's a weird thing to call
as
it,
I
right?
probably.
Normal acting.
Well, normally I call it normal acting or acting normal.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that's new. I should try that.
Mm.
I do a lot of voiceovers and voice acting for stuff, and a lot of presenting as well, as opposed to acting. I think acting is a really different skill
Mm.
and something that takes a lot more energy and effort in a different area. But me, I'm a career presenter, and I'm doing lots of work for different brands and different organizations and telling different stories. And I think that's one of the most important things in my world is telling those stories and telling
Yeah.
stories generally.
Dude, that's one of the most important things overall, telling stories. You know, like, um, you're hanging around an Irish pub. There's plenty of lads with stories there. Um, never
Uh,
mind
Look,
a real one over
yes.
here. Yeah.
Um, well, I think that to coin a phrase, there's plenty of good crack at this pub.
I never hear someone say that organically. Uh, did you actually say that over there, or are you just saying that because you've heard it before?
No, I'm saying that for my very limited time in Ireland. It
That's fair.
was, I just thought that was the most quintessentially Irish phrase that I heard,
Yeah,
and
yeah. What's the
yeah,
crack with you?
and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and also the expression, that's grand,
Mm.
which we don't say here in Australia.
Yeah. But you say some cool things in Australia anyway, so
We
um,
say cunt a lot.
you do, and I love it because, like, over here it's
We
it's,
use it.
it's
We
not.
use it like punctuation.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same way we say shite. Uh,
Yep.
so over in the States you say cunt, man. That's rough. Over here it's like
Really,
neutral.
really bad.
And then for you guys it's like every second word, depending where you are.
Yeah,
I love it. I
yeah,
love it.
totally. Every second word. I don't really understand Americans and their distaste for um, cursing, as they say, because there's. I would rather someone curse than I don't know shoot kids in a school or you know all sorts of crazy stuff that Americans do. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a little
Jesus.
bit different.
Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, I do prefer. I feel like I can trust someone better if they've cursed around me. Do you get that too?
Do you know, there's actually absolutely. I think there's actually data and science behind that, saying that people that uh, curse more often are more trustworthy and more honest than those that don't. So let that be a lesson to us all.
There you go. I think there's something in science as well that you know that curse words are separate to like normal words in your mind. Like
Mm.
we process normal conversation differently than we would a curse word. And that's why some people with like severe like I guess issues have an easier time cursing than they would having a normal conversation
Oh,
because it's a different
that's
part of the
really
brain.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mm.
don't know what that's called.
But,
I can't even fact check without Thomas being here, so you know me.
uh,
Uh, there you go. Yeah, it's a weird one,
but
but go on.
I was running a venue at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival this year, and it was really interesting. We had a whole heap of great comedians, and one of them, Sam Cerner. Now she's bilingual and she's a Venezuelan little pocket rocket. She's amazing. And one of the parts of her show was saying that swearing isn't a big thing for her because English is her second language. So she's not emotionally attached to
Hmm.
any of those words. So they're just words, they just flow out.
Hmm.
And she does it so beautifully.
There you go. Yeah, because there's also this thing of like people not knowing the curse. Like the first time, like if someone says cunt and they're not used to saying cunt, it's really obvious. Like
Oh, isn't it?
yeah. But anyway, I don't know how we got
Yeah.
there.
And I, I feel like they need to teach that in schools because, it's like, teaching kids how to say, cunt in a sentence
Yeah,
fluently as part of Australian culture. I think that's a great
yeah.
idea.
There you go. It's just cultural preservation. Like it's nothing bad. Um.
Yeah, totally.
So what got you into voice acting and storytelling as a
Um,
whole?
puberty mainly.
Hmm?
Uh, puberty mainly. So I realized that I had a voice that I could do voiceovers and things like that with when I was quite young. And I used to sing with the Queensland Youth Choir and introduced some of their shows. And then it sort of grew from there. Did some stuff with Channel 9, which is one of the TV stations here. And yeah, just powered on from there. So, voice acting and voiceovers are something that I genuinely quite enjoy, and I quite enjoy developing that skill and working with it and interpreting scripts in a different way, which comes back to that storytelling thing that we were kind of talking about before. Because each script is a story. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the most interesting things about it. Whether you get a 30-second read for a commercial or you're doing a TV series, it's all a story and how we can communicate that depth of information through only the medium of voice.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting because like you are limited to just your voice. Um. Yeah. I booked my first voice acting gig there maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and
Oh,
it's kind of
nice work.
coincidence.
Congratulations.
Kind of coincidence why we have you on at the same time. Like, but yeah, I think you reached out the same day. But yeah, I get it now
It's a
more.
small community. We do.
There you go. Yeah. Um. Like I like obviously I talked to a lot of voice actors. Like we've had the entire cast of, or nearly the entire cast of like Call of Duty Cold War, Modern Warfare,
Ah, nice.
blah blah blah. We've had plenty of voice actors on, so it kind of makes me respect it a bit more because one thing I didn't realize that was a big factor in it is, you have neighbors, you might have people living with you, and you're screaming down into a mic, but you're not doing it like in a playful way. You're trying to do it as an actor. You're trying to do it like it's real. So that screaming sounds very real. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's
And I think one of
rough.
the big things is that if you are living with people and they know that you're a voice actor, then they already know that you're a little bit crazy. So it comes as less of a shock when you do stuff like that.
There you go. Is that your situation?
Do you know what? I'm really fortunate. I have a small studio for voiceovers at home, and a lot of the other voice work I do, I will actually go into a studio with an engineer and whatnot to record the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky in a sense, because that's less buttons for me to push and more energy for me to focus on the script itself or what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. And do you ever get like imposter syndrome when you're in those studios? You ever get like freaked out from being in them?
Look, I feel like I constantly have imposter syndrome, not just courtesy of voice acting or voiceovers, but from everything. So, my therapist and I are working through that very slowly, but thanks for bringing it up.
Hmm. Do you actually go to therapy?
Sorry, what was that?
I said, do you actually go to therapy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the huge stigmas that we have as, particularly in the Western world. You go to therapy when you're broken. But I think therapy is more about not just functioning, but how can I thrive in this world? So by the time you're already broken, that limits what you can do. You're just about getting back to functional. But I think if you constantly have therapy or constantly work on yourself, I think that makes you a better person for, interacting in society and doing everything else. I have plenty of stuff to work through.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm sure we
But,
all do.
but to be fair, initially that was a flippant comment. But yes, I do go to therapy, and I don't think there should be any stigma about anything like that.
No, I agree.
Good mental health is really important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you see more and more people going to it anyway, but if it's your thing, it's your thing. So power to you for going if it helps you out.
Yeah, look, I also see a lot of people in my world that I think should go to therapy and don't.
Mm-hmm.
And they're less receptive to that idea when you tell them.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. Is that what do you attribute that to?
I don't know. Well, I think sometimes only triggered people are triggered by the word triggered, which is really interesting.
Okay, well that's a different topic. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
My sense of humor is a little dry, in case you haven't noticed.
You're Australian, so like just your nationality makes up for it, so it's okay.
Yeah.
You were saying something about a comedy show earlier. Did you ever do a bit of comedy?
Yeah, absolutely. So
It seems to be anyone in entertainment is getting into it now.
Well, look, there is a lot of people that are trying to do it. Some people do it successfully, some don't.
Emphasis on trying.
I'm really, well, yeah, definitely. Look, I'm really fortunate in the fact that I've got a really one of the world's largest comedy festivals literally in my backyard, which does make it a whole heap easier. We've also got a really great wealth of talent here in Australia, with some amazing comedians for me to go and watch and, learn from and be part of the comedic community. But for me, I think it's about finding, again, your own voice and finding your own style and what your thing is within the comedy space. And then working on that and doing that, I think, is very important. And when we look at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, one of the joyous and most rewarding things that I was able to do was curate a venue. So there was not only my show on the Tuesday nights, but we also had Sam Cerner, Simon Palomares, we had Christian Lutz and Kai Fay. So we had a really great range of comedians. Each and every one of those comedians is a different style, and it was really wonderful to see each and every one of them work and come together to make it a really entertaining venue as a whole. So there's so many amazing and joyous things that we can do with comedy to, bring out those stories and, learn from each other. So it was great. In fact, I'll do it again next year, even though I'm tired.
Yeah, fair enough. I've never been to a bad comedy show, thankfully. I don't think many people do. I think they're normally there's such a range of talents. It just Normally goes down like a treat.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the wonderful thing about comedy is when you go to a comedy show, it's not like it's a challenge. It's not like you're saying, I dare you to make me laugh. It's like everyone's walking going, I want to have a good time. I want to enjoy this. And I think it's really wonderful that we see that attitude with audiences, particularly here in Australia. One of the other great things I think about comedy is even if it's not side-splittingly funny, there are still a lot of comedians that tell really great and very important stories that are pleasant or fun or entertaining, as well as being, really funny at times. So I think comedians are almost like the bards of our day.
Yeah, close enough.
Documenting history through humor. And if we look back, even on Spotify, you can look back and see some of the older comedy sets from, Rod Gilbert or from people that are way older than that. And you can listen to the things that were funny and what were important in the day that they were doing their stand-up sets. And it's really interesting to see both how little and how much things have changed over the course of time.
Mm. Yeah, you ever get worried about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in comedy? Because it's changing. Like, it changes pretty fast. Like like you're saying back in the day, like a comedian in the '60s, I don't think he'd get away with what he's saying nowadays.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And I think part of that is understanding the culture and the cultural norms in which you are performing, and being aware of what sort of comedian you'd like to be and what sort of work you'd like to do. Like there are some comedians that it is their thing to offend people. It is their thing to go above and beyond. And for a lot of other people, it's not. It's about other relatable humour that is not as edgy as that. And I think that now, I mean, it's comedy. You get away with a lot more than you would outside of comedy, and I think it goes to show the nuances of how you tell those stories as to what you can and can't get away with.
Yeah. Yeah, fair. Yeah, I like your reaction to it rather than some people's. Uh, yeah, I don't know. What's normal is always going to be changing, so you kind of have to almost kind of guess what's going to be okay, what's not. Like, it's
Absolutely.
pretty easy to guess that race stuff isn't going to land these days. That's going to probably flop. So
well, do you know, it's funny you say that. If it's from a racist point of view, totally going to flop. However,
so that's what I mean.
if you are talking about people racist towards you or talking about your own culture, I find it's more widely accepted. And I think like you said, when you talk about race stuff, it's really, really important to be considerate and understanding when writing a set like that.
Yeah.
And look at the magic. It was empty before and now it's full again. This has suddenly become my favorite part now. Magic.
There you go.
Yeah, the next magic trick is to see if it turns up on my bill on the table.
There you go. How many drinks in are you so far?
Look, let's not get caught up in details. All right. No, it is only my second pint, and it's a 6% American red ale, because that was the only red they had on tap.
You're in an Irish pub, and there's not a Guinness in sight.
Look, look. Here's the thing, right? When I went to Dublin, I did the Guinness Storehouse like just about every human in the world has ever done. And after you taste Guinness in Ireland, it's totally different in Australia. I don't know if it travels differently or what the go is, but it's totally different. So the fact that they don't have Guinness on tap isn't really that big a deal because it's not the same as Guinness in the motherland.
Yeah. I've been told. I've been told that before. I've experienced it. But my first Guinness was in Greece. I went to Greece with my dad and some other buddies to do archery, and
Yep.
we ended up. That was the first time I had Guinness, and I had it when I came back, and I was like, okay, thank God, it's better here. Um, but yeah, I was told when we were over there that I don't know who said to me that like there's only so much made in Ireland, and it's sent to like wherever. I don't know it's like more expensive, but then the majority of it is made in South Africa, and then that's shipped all over the world. That's the big one.
So, so one of the things that shocked me when you go through and do the Guinness Storehouse tour is they say that they make Guinness, as you correctly said, in a few different locations, but they're really stringent about water quality and hops and this, that, and the other. But look, I don't know how stringent they are or not. Guinness in Ireland tastes so different to anywhere else in the world that I've ever had it.
Mm, I'm happy to hear. Happy to hear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Only thing
I don't know
driving our
what it
tourism.
is.
There you go. It's
Well,
that
certainly
people
not
have.
Murphy's, is it?
There you go. Yeah, our tourism's drive by or driven by the Guinness Storehouse and people having like Irish grandmothers. Yeah, there's a lot of those. There
Well,
seems to be a lot of Irish grandmothers.
yeah, yeah. And one of the things I did find about Ireland when I was there is your thriving coffee culture as well. And part of me thinks that that is the Australian connection
Sure.
because there is so many amazing coffee places there and opportunities to go and enjoy a great coffee. But then also, what's coffee without having a bacon blah with it as well?
There you go. There you go. See, you speak my language. Uh, yeah.
And you can't get that. You can't get that anywhere else. Like I ate heaps of that, heaps of the blah in Ireland, and then I've been hooked on it. And I come back to Australia, and there's no like I got nothing.
Yeah.
It's
I'm sorry
terrible.
to hear, man. I didn't even know what I didn't even know it was called a blah. I didn't know it was called that till maybe 3 years ago, and
Mm,
you know I don't know why, but like they were still a staple. You wouldn't know what the fuck they're called. It's like a bacon sandwich or something you call them, and you just maul them
yeah,
because like in the more like I don't know culturally rich areas in Ireland, they'd call them that, but in the Midlands where I'm from, yeah, we're just like we're like we're like Southerners in the States because we're living in like a swamp basically.
yeah.
Yeah,
On the upside, your swamp has peat, so
there you go.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, theirs is kind of like
Um,
sunken down. Ours is like just muddy as fuck. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, we had an environmentalist on,
Yeah.
and we had a chat about like peat and all. Like
Mm,
it's just like this carbon rich dirt basically, and we burned it so long. And, the average Joe Schmo, me and you, if we want to go down, we cut the turf. That's our heating for the year. Rather than paper oil or whatever, you could do that. But the company Bord which is the people who use it for factories, they they managed to destroy it so badly that they had to stop everyone in Ireland going at peat anymore. Like you can't harvest it anymore.
wow. Because you see,
So
the thing, peat's like coal. It
well,
takes forever to regenerate. Because isn't that a
yeah,
little more complex?
well, peat needs peat to make more peat. If you get me, like it's like a complex chemical sludge. Um, and like if it goes away, it's not coming back. Basically, like those areas will just be kind of like barren and rocky. But yeah, I really hate that. Like the average Joe Schmo like me and you could have went and got it, and that's your heating done. Especially if you're poor, which is the case around here. It's one of the poorest areas of Ireland, and everyone did it. Um, but then it got taken away because these corporate lads were gone in there and they were mining the place out of it. Yeah, I don't want to sound
Yeah.
all woke and anti-establishment, but I actually never
No,
intend to go down that trend. But that's it is a rough reality around here.
I think there's a difference between being anti-establishment and being ethically truth-focused.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. You got anything
And
like that in Australia?
look, we've got heaps of things. I mean, we've got that whole genocide thing with the First Nations people. When the British
I don't know
came
anything
to
about that.
invade. Yeah, so look, Captain Cook had a crack at it, came on a boat, came over here, went, oh my God, nobody lives here apart from all these natives. How about we kill them all because they're annoying us? And yeah, ever since then, our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, or First Nations here in Australia, have had very much a struggle to be treated as equals or as fairly as everybody else here in Australia, which is really sad because they have such a rich and valuable culture, which should be a bigger part of Australian culture, considering that they've looked after the planet, looked after our country for 60,000 years or more. I reckon there's a few things we could learn from them, considering we've stuffed it up in less than 200.
Yeah. No, you're not getting any pushback on that from me. That's very true. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, the British might have done some stuff to you guys as well, incidentally.
See, we were kind of like a test. I think we're the only post-colonial nation to not celebrate Independence Day for some reason. It really annoys me because of how hard they had to fight to get independence here. Um, yeah, they really fucked us up. They gave their first go at like colonialism here. Like they sent their people in, removed the local populace, claimed it as theirs. That's kind of how it went.
That's how colonialism works. Yep.
Yeah. For some reason, we kind of get excluded from that because they're like, Europeans couldn't be colonized or something. But we were like so bad, like Tuk and the boys basically. Were nearly cavemen when they came over. Yeah, because they didn't even here for 1,000 years. You know that? I think it was like
That's a long time.
it was like the year 1000 like 60 or 1090 AD, and yeah, there's still some counties up there, still hanging around. But that's a different story.
Yeah.
It is a
See,
weird thing because like everyone else has gotten their independence and it's kind of well and settled, but then there's people up there who feel like they're absolutely British and people who are absolutely Irish, and the problem is that the numbers are so close.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
hard to know what to do.
I think you might have some friends in Scotland that have very similar ideas, particularly with Brexit happening.
Mm. Yeah, they've had
and
enough.
they've very much had a rough trot as well, but they didn't have a potato famine to deal with as well.
Yeah, but they did.
And
mm.
and then there was also the religious wave that came through with the Protestants and Catholics. Now that we're talking about Irish history,
There you go. Yeah, it's a weird one. But then there was the max exodus over to Australia, and the max exodus
yes,
over to the States, because we used to be an island of 8 million, and now after nearly just under 200 years of recovering, we're at 5 million. So yeah, that's rough. Like when I was growing up, it was an island of 4 million. So it's kind of it's gone up fairly fast. Like, yeah, it's really weird.
yeah, it has. That's actually 5 million. What's that? A million in how many years is that?
1 million in about 20 years.
Yeah, that's still a fair whack of additional people.
Yeah, there's countries that do far more than that, but like
You're starting from a smaller number.
Yeah, it's weird. You got any Irish in you?
No, no, I don't. I'm more Danish than anything else, but I still really enjoy visiting Ireland and spending. Do you know what? Just about every overseas holiday I've ever had, except one, has had a stopover in Ireland or been Ireland itself.
It's not bad.
Uh, I just find the eclectic history really, really interesting. I love the sense of humor. I love the um, just the range of people that are there, and some of the really weird things that Irish people do, and everyone just goes, "Yep, that's just the Irish way," and it's just accepted, and I love it.
Like what?
Do you know a lot of admin processes when you're talking to people about how their business runs and the taxation system and things like that, they just go, nope, that's just how it works. The other interesting thing I find with some of those quintessentially Irish things is the culture of the Sunday music table.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I wish we had adopted here in Australia,
Hmm.
because there is nothing more joyous than seeing a bunch of people play music for hours and hours for free Guinness.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a handy thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go over and see a wedding over in Ireland, and again, an Irish wedding is absolutely something to behold, with all the family and sing song afterwards, and then all of the traditional songs that just about every Irish person knows. You know, here in Australia, we don't have a collection of songs that we are so intrinsically connected to. So I find that a very interesting and a very important part of my interpretation of Irish culture.
Yeah. I get what you're saying there with like the Australian bit. Like it is hard to like find a culture when you're kind of displaced from like your original one. Like you know, like plenty of Americans go back to like back to their heritage because they want to connect with their culture or something. Because I know like when you're in one of those like post-colonial countries, it's kind of a weird setup, isn't it? Still there, Ben?
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, you got a bit frozen there. Yeah, I was saying on the cultural side, it must be weird, you know, being in one of those like post-colonial nations, because you know, like over here we've thousands of years of history. You guys have like 200, and then you look back on that and try find some kind of, I guess, connection to it as your culture. If you get me. Um, I'll assume that's some kind of technical difficulties on his end.
Apologies. All right.
You back?
I look. I certainly am. We can thank the NBN for that, which is our national broadband network, which uses the latest technology uh, and brings us speeds equal to the maximum speed of a copper wire.
Yeah,
Proudly the 67th fastest internet in the world.
that's rough. That's rough.
And that's the world behind me, right there.
Yeah, yeah, you're having a rough one there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, your internet over there isn't on your side, but maybe we can blame it on you being on Australia.
I absolutely would. There's lots of things that we can blame on being Australian, including a wonderful love of our alcohol.
A lot of people are freaked out by like
But
all the animals there. Are they actually that bad or?
do you know what? If you're a dick, yes, they're very bad. If you're using your common sense, then they're not too bad. I mean, we've got a fair whack of spiders that want to kill you, but it's not like you're walking down the street and they all jump out at you.
That'd be rough.
You know, we got a fair whack of, yeah, it would be. We got a fair whack of snakes here that you know, if you poke them and prod them, they'll bite you and try and kill you. We actually do have drop bears, though. That's very interesting. Drop bears are a real thing thanks to climate change. So normally they're just koalas, but when the temperature gets over 41 degrees, they literally drop out of trees. So drop bears used to be fiction, but now thanks to climate change and global warming, it's actually a real thing. Koalas fall out of trees. So there you go. They've also all got chlamydia as well, which sounds really, really bad until you, look at the person that gave it to them. Fuck, didn't they come off second best?
Jesus. Yeah, yeah, koalas are like completely fucked over there, aren't they? Like you had like
Yeah, pretty
those
much.
huge
Pretty
fires
much.
and they're all like dying of chlamydia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough.
So the chlamydia is bad enough on its own, but then when you have the fires and then you have deforestation, courtesy of all the environmental wrecking and pillaging that we do here in Australia, and the lack of environmental policy by our federal government, we tend to be literally behind the eight ball when it comes to looking after our native flora and fauna.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. But the advantage of being in somewhere like Australia or the States is a lot of the native fauna is still alive. You know, like over in European countries, there it's barren. It is there's
Mm,
nothing here. Biggest thing living in Ireland right now is probably some kind of like measly deer. Um, and I think they have to be reintroduced. In fairness, biggest land
yeah,
predator in Ireland, I think, is a fox. So you know, we
I thought it was humans,
well, that's the thing. Hunting here isn't like it's kind of a grey area. It is very
isn't it?
difficult.
Thing, yeah.
It's very difficult to be a hunter here. Well, the big problem is it's not cost effective. So why would you do it?
Okay, good point.
And that's the thing. Like when I see people hunting in the States, that's so much cheaper. Like you take down one deer, man. Maybe get some turkeys along the year. You're done. You're set. Like
Mm,
you're having a good old time. You're not going to the shop for any meat anytime soon. You have a stacked fucking fridge. You give all the excess to your friends or something. That's really really cool. In comparison to you go to the shop, you get 3 packets of ham. Maybe some roast beef, whatever.
mm.
Like how many things die for that? Not fun. Not a fun one.
No. Then that's also like the stats on the McDonald's burgers saying that every meat patty there contains parts of up to 50 cows. I don't know if all the cows had names or not, but on that's still an absolute lot of meat and a lot of animals for processed meat. But then,
Mm.
I like the idea of eating as sustainably as we can,
Yeah,
whatever that means, in whatever cultural country you're in, because I think that sustainability is something that's becoming more and more important.
yeah, yeah. We talk about that a little bit with guys who talk about permaculture, or we even had like a guy who's
Mm,
basically a carnivore, and he's really
mm-hmm.
into regenerative agriculture using like cows because like you give them grass, they take a shit, and it's like one of the best fertilizers we have. And
So
it renews the soil.
re- regenerative agriculture is a really big thing, and it's actually host another podcast for a company called EcoForce Global, and they're in Australia and the US, and they're all about planting trees and sequestering carbon from the atmosphere and utilizing the regenerative culture teachings to get even more carbon and out of the atmosphere and even more bang for your buck for each tree that's in the ground. And one of the really interesting things about regenerative agriculture is you look at the soil health, and we see unhealthy soil holds less carbon, and the healthier the soil is, the more carbon it holds.
Yeah,
And the healthier it is, the deeper down that good soil goes. So there is an amazing amount of carbon that we can hold in existing farmlands and in existing forests and in all sorts of areas. So when we have all of that carbon in the soil, that means that the water retention rate is better. That means the minerals and the enzymes within the soil are even better again, so that we can get better yield from a wider range of crops. Totally makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of regenerative agriculture.
Oh, we're on the same page there. It's one of those things that we kind of need to get back into, because it's not like we didn't do it. They used to do it back in the day. Like, even what you think of as being like some of the most primitive societies on Earth, they like seriously take care of the area around them. They never overhunt, they never overharvest. They plant forest gardens. If you're familiar with those, it's really interesting.
And
And
then we look at the other part of the regenerative agriculture process, and we look at how many head, just going on what you were saying, how many head of cattle per acre should we be running to make it sustainable? And we started, certainly in Australia, we're seeing some farmers running more head of cattle per acre than is sustainable. So of course they're going to have degeneration of their pastures and their topsoil.
yeah, it's unfortunate the way it is, but fate, we'll get there. We'll get there. Maybe one day. Hopefully soon.
Joys of the capitalist economic reality.
Yeah, it's got its benefits. Huh. I got split in two. Alright, ladies. Don't know what happened there. Looks like Ben kind of cut off. But take it handy. Good luck. You see the top of my head, bottom of my mouth, and lucky old you. Bye bye. You just came back. Internet not on your side, Ben.
Look, I think the hamster's getting tired in the internet NBN wheel.
Okay.
It's terrible. But yes, regenerative agriculture, good. Traditional farming, bad.
There you go. But speaking of good and bad, if people want to check you out, Ben, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me at bensorensen1.com because some other bastard took Ben Sorensen. They can also find me on all of the socials at bensorensen1. And, you know, if you're listening to the podcast, you've got some questions or you want to have a chat about anything or check out some of my stuff, send me a message. Let me know. Slide into my DMs. Totally okay.
You know, you're not going to stop anyone. There you go. So if you want to check him out, you know where to find him. Ben, it's been a pleasure. We had a good, very diverse conversation. So
Didn't we just?
Didn't we just? All right, everyone. Bye-bye.